Live, 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 live. Check, check, check. 1, 2. Mic, check. Mic is good. All right. 2 people in already. Sweet. Welcome. Excuse me. Hey, everyone. Doing the monthly Q&A live stream. So, as always, slow mode is on in the chat to keep spam bots away. Helps me keep track of the chat. So, whenever anyone tunes in, say, hey, ask a question in chat. I will get to it. I have just a few community post questions that I need to answer first. And once I get through those, I will just shoot the breeze with everyone here for about 2 hours and just kind of hang out, answer questions, talk about topics, whatever. Shirt of the day, band of the day. Lurker of Chalice. If anyone knows that band, they actually just put a new album out not that long ago, which was quite a while from the last one. So, sick logo. Lurker of Chalice. Good stuff. All right. Going through the community post questions first, and then I'll start kind of shooting a breeze with everyone here in the chat. Only 2 hours, Ogre? Yeah. That's about the average that I do for my Q&A live streams for the month, just to get a bunch of questions answered and talk with people and stuff. So, first question from Twin Arrows Survival. Thanks for the question, man. What do you think is going to happen with all the crap like WW3 or our own government off the chain? You think it will happen before the election? So we're already on course with global conflict. It's a 7-point system, and I've articulated that before in various live streams with people. Some of that process is economic warfare, cyber warfare, counter-espionage and intelligence, things like that, fielding and testing of new weapon systems, proxy conflicts, things like that. And then the last 2 is a major catalyzing event that prompts a declaration formally to include additional covert operations and then full-scale kinetic conflict. We're kind of at that 6-point, getting there close. So it's only going to take a couple more catalyzing conflicts, and we're seeing what U.S. Congress is trying to do right now with war powers and activation of using U.S. forces against Iran and other countries. So we're on the way. That's about all I could say about that. I do assessments and analyst stuff as part of what I do professionally in the security sector. I don't prescribe to speculation. Otherwise, it's here's the facts, here's what's happening, sources on the ground, evidence, objective information, footage, data, all that stuff. Pile that together, disseminate, understand the bigger picture of what's going on, and then go from there. Proper recourse with the information that you have. Let's see. Another question from ACR Protect. Thanks for your question, man. Always good to see you. Cheers. Let's see. Would it rather be Batman or Superman? Ooh, I've always had an affinity for Batman. It would be cool to have Superman powers, but also all the Batman trinkets. So a little bit of both, but Batman is awesome. Spawn, another big comic fan of mine. Fan of that comic. A big fan of Spawn. It's just kind of a mix of the two a little bit, but more badass. I like Spawn a bit. Would you rather live in space or underwater? Well, considering both are about equally as lethal. That's a tough one. Now, would I have the option of going back to land, or am I just stuck living in space or underwater? Might have to do space, actually. I think I might have to do space. And would you rather live where you do now without heat, or in the deep south with no AC? Oh, here without heat, by far. There's ways to get warm without having a heat source in the cold. I love it here. I will always love it here. So thanks for the questions, man. Those are good. Let's see. Any new people? Maya. Ooh. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce your name. Welcome. Thank you for tuning in. Soulfire Games, thanks for tuning in. Good to see you over in the Discord too with Wiretight and those guys. I'll get to some of these questions here in a second. I have just a couple left with community post questions. I answer those first, and then I will just off the leash with everybody here in the chat. So bear with me here. I've got two more questions from the Angry Security Guard channel. Justin, good questions as always, man. Thank you. Would doing an international close protection unit training course in another country be a bad idea, like considered treason or something? No. And would training in another country affect your ability and chances to work any U.S. contracts? No. Experience and background, first and foremost, applies for any of that. Prior military, prior law enforcement, advanced paramedic, things like that. There's a variety of European companies and other training companies in some other places, to include in Israel and a couple in the Middle East, that you can go attend and train, as well as in a couple in South America too, where there used to be. One that I know of that was in South America, in Brazil, was called Trojan Training. I've done things with them before. Former SAS and Israeli guys training in Brazil. Excellent training. It all looks good on the resume with all your certifications, as long as it's all formally recognized stuff. Denmark and a couple other countries have really good security training programs. A couple of former Eastern Bloc countries have training programs. And then there's the maritime security sector as well. There's a bunch of programs as well offered in Europe and other places. With U.S. security contracting, if we don't train in-house at one of the flagship training centers in the U.S., training is done in other countries in that deployment phase, that train up and deployment phase, going to work a contract, say in Iraq. We'll go to Jordan or Kuwait or something and train there for a little bit under the company, and then, arrive at final station, at least the initial final, main station. So there's a variety of things that are available to you. Some of those programs over in Europe and other places are actually really good. And they're worth taking if you want to travel, spend the money and whatnot. It is good training and it looks good on your resume. Now, American companies do things a little bit different than European companies, for example, or whatever, but there is some crossover and applicability, as well as with some of the other countries that I mentioned. So it doesn't really affect your ability to work various contracts. It looks good on a resume, but experience is always going to come first. The other question that he had was, if able to say, where and who do you contract to take a specialized paramilitary training course that is recognized and credible? So within the U.S., there's a couple. Sec 4 International, which are in Arizona. There's ESI in Colorado. And they both do executive protection courses and high risk private military contractor courses. CRI in Vegas also has a version. They're an Israeli-based, American Israeli-based company. The other two are straight up American companies founded by veterans. There's a couple other training companies dotted around the United States that do that. Otherwise, it's going to be the companies that you hire on with have really good in-house programs, like Constella's Group, which is who I trained with as well. So for Academy, Triple Canopy, and all that. So they're all credible. Those other companies that I mentioned are recognized and credible as well. So kind of bleeding into that first question a little bit, but yeah, there's multiple training companies out there that they accept veterans education and military education benefits. They accept whatever other tuition programs, like all that stuff. Really good programs. Sec 4 International, those guys are really good. That is one of the top ones that I recommend that isn't an in-house company training program or organization. You can go train at the Academy, former Blackwater facility in Moriac, North Carolina. They don't offer to the general public the private military training courses, but they have some shooter courses and other stuff they offer. Also, Tactical Response has a certified private military contractor course. So again, multiple companies out there. It just depends on if you get hired on first or you're in a hiring process or whatever, and then they'll train you up, which excellent quality training, or you can spend your money and your education benefit money at a couple of these other of their organizations with their courses, and that's going to look good on the resume. And most of them do have a process to help with looking for jobs after you complete the courses. So good questions, man. I appreciate it. Those are really good. So thank you for those. And those are all of the community post questions. So I'm going to close that out and just talk with everyone here in the chat and answer your questions. Again, shirt of the day, band of the day, Lurker of Chalice. Super sick band. Old school. He just put a new album out not terribly long ago. But yeah, so those were some good community post questions. I appreciate them. And now we'll just hang out and talk with everyone here in the chat. So first question I'm seeing from Ogre. WTF you think is going to happen? The illegals are now coming through the border of Canada and New York and Vermont. I mean, same thing that's been happening. It's going to take more localized efforts, just like what you're seeing with Texas and those states along the southern border, as much as states on the northern border. And my state shares. I'm in the Great Lakes region. My state shares the Great Lakes with Canada. So there's going to be an uptick of monitoring and activity in the waterways just as much as across foot traffic areas, through the woods or any of the immigration checkpoints or anything. It's got to be increased at the state level because obviously for right now the federal government is failing. So it's going to have to be handled by other people for the time being. So far games, been talking to one of my friends in England. What's your thoughts about things across the pond? Yeah, I've got friends in the UK, Scotland, Ireland, and stuff too. It's spicy right now, and that's really all I could say about it. It's on them to figure out what they want to do for themselves, and obviously the people. The public, the people are very dissatisfied and disenfranchised with what's going on, and they're taking matters in their own hands. And hopefully, by example, that will create some more positive reform within those countries to fix things and better vet people coming in, better, prioritize residents, and just everything across the board, policy and otherwise. Leonard Collier, thanks for tuning in. Man, what's the first video you're going to do with Woodline Associates? I've already done one. It's the camouflage fundamentals video, so go check that one out. It's just an overview of the basic principles and fundamentals of camouflage. That's a video that I made for that group. Woodline Associates is a collective of various channels that do a number of things, have expertise in various things when it comes to preparedness, military, private sector, prepping, just like all that stuff. So it's just a number of different channels that are kind of all contributing to that organization. There is a merch website, as well as a Linchpin Supply, another website that is that retails stuff, and they're making hats for Woodline Associates. So those should be both listed hopefully by now in the about section of the YouTube channel page. Also on Instagram, Woodline Associates is also on Instagram. So some of that's there. So there is merch and stuff apart from more videos coming out. But yeah, I just did the camouflage video. So it's generally going to be like 1 to 2 videos a week coming out on that channel from the various people involved. Phoenix Blaze, what's up, brother? How you doing? Wired Tight, what's your favorite gent band? I hate that term. Gent's not a word. Even Meshuggah, who everybody says is the first quote-unquote gent band, says it's not a word. It's just down-tuned math groove metal. That's all it is. And as far as that genre, I don't listen to a lot of stuff in that subgenre, honestly. I mean, you're basically just playing 2 or 3 bass guitars at that point. Like, not as much technical skill when it comes to like grooving or even death crossover stuff. So I don't listen to a lot of stuff in there. Although like some of the older albums from bands like Volumes and stuff are quite good. Edge of the Earth, fantastic song from Volumes. And that's an older song. But yeah, just that titling for that subgenre. Same thing with Thal, which is stupid because Thal is already a word for like a young sprout of a plant. So I don't know what they're doing with that. I don't get some of those titles. There's already subgenre categories and crossover categories, as far as that goes. So it's just down-tuned grooving math metal. That's all it is. But yeah, I don't listen to too many of them. Like, I'm not even that big of a Meshuggah fan. I mean, Bleed is awesome and everything, of course, but I don't really listen to them. Much more death metal, black metal, technical death metal, brutal death metal, avant-garde, crossover, black and death metal, bestial black metal, war metal, old school metalcore, old school deathcore, a lot of that stuff. That's the stuff that I like. Gent just gets boring, honestly. If they want to get more technical, you got to look at technical death metal and take some influence from there to actually make it something a little bit more than it is. Tim Harper, what's up, man? Thanks for tuning in. Good luck at that happening. Well, I know it's a mess right now. It is. Phoenix, I bet your lady is pissed about everything going on over in the UK. It's not good. It's not good. So Scotland needs to exit from Britain too. They had that referendum vote a couple of years back, and then they didn't end up passing their separation like what Ireland in part has done in the past too. So they got to get on that too. It is an onomatopoeia, watertight. I hate the term. I'm much more like, okay, these classifications are here, so let's just, use those. I don't like those. Soulfire Games. Tempted to see Iron Maiden on this tour. I'm nervous about it since they've aged. I mean, from everything I've heard and seen from other people I know that have gone to the tour, they're doing all right. I think it's worth going if you've never seen them before. At least see them at least once before they do break up. It was like the same deal with Slayer. I was fortunate enough to see Slayer several times over the years before they really called it quits, Watertight. Yeah, Volumes is great, dude. Old Volumes is quite enjoyable. I don't know if they would be considered, the grooving math metal or gent or whatever, but like the Contortionists too, like their old stuff is good. There's some of that. Like a lot of the new bands, man, it is so cookie cutter with that subgenre in particular. It is boring. Just no enjoyment in it for me, really. Crazy to think it's a quote unquote older band now. Yeah, middle of the pack older. Yeah, Leonard, ever gonna do a video on trench fighting? There's not really any point. I mean, there's enough footage out there. I mean, I could do a video talking about the bigger spectrum of it. But there's enough footage out there coming from current conflicts going on to include Ukraine and others where you can see how trench warfare is being conducted, and just kind of learn from that and whatever you think is applicable for you to put it in practice for yourself with training and drilling. Tactical Forge is another really good channel. That guy's a bit more academic, but he's got really good visual aids and everything. Highly recommend Tactical Forge. Excellent channel. He's talked about it a little bit too. Yeah, it's good stuff, but study the real world footage. That's really one of the best ways you're going to at least initially visually learn and kind of see the nuances of some things and like how it's adapted over time, because it has changed drastically over the past 2-3 years, and then even before that with the lines of attrition, like in the Donbass and stuff, all the way back to 2014. So you kind of see that evolution, you see that adaptation that's going on, and it is fairly rapid month to month, so it's the battle space is always an ever changing dynamic, ever evolving dynamic. So you have to be able to be adaptive and kind of have some ingenuity to kind of think about things a little bit. Prepared Citizens, what's up, man? Thanks for tuning in. Most footage you see looks like spray and pray. Yeah, that's one of the tactics with trench warfare is pre-fire around corners, blind spots. I mean, a trench is a fatal funnel. The entire thing is a fatal funnel. Same as if you're just stuck in a hallway or a doorway or in a stairwell or whatever. They're all fatal funnels. There's a lot of pre-fire going on with that. You hear the communication unless it's like you have to be quiet, because there's a guy like right there and you're trying to be sneaky. But the communication is the communication, the fire, the activity going on around artillery and everything. It's a cacophony, So your senses really have to be, full bore, and you have to be very alert with that kind of thing, But that's one of the tactics is a lot of pre-fire around corners and into the blindages or the little bunkers and hideaways within trench systems and things like that. Phoenix, they're talking about separation again. But I'm not sure go anywhere because of their Progressive Party has got a tight grip with Scotland, despite Scotland quite a bit more conservative. Yeah. And it's, you're seeing that with a lot of countries. You are seeing some countries in Europe having that shift in politics with recent elections. Italy, Germany, I think Spain. There's a few others coming up. France. It was supposed to have shifted with France, but Macron pulled some BS there. It's like Ireland is kind of that same dynamic, with Sinn Féin in office. You would think they would be more conservative, but they're not really a conservative party, which is strange. It's a strange dynamic with them, but it is with Scotland too. So, if Scotland wants to go that route in the future, they're going to have to bring in a more traditionalist, more American traditionalist style kind of conservative party to accomplish that, really, if that's what they want to do, because European conservatism and American conservatism are quite different. Watertight. That's why I gave meth to guys at World War I. Yeah, Pervitin and stuff. Yeah. I mean, dude. Pilots, they still get go pills. Pilots still get go pills to a certain extent. Much more so, like, even during, like Vietnam period and stuff. I think it's probably changed a bit nowadays, really. But, like, probably up into the early 90s, they were still giving them go pills that were amphetamines. But yeah, it's not like you could sleep easily in those kinds of conditions in trench warfare anyway, with everything going on. And you see how you have to get into a pretty well dug, deep housing position in order to be safe from everything going on, drones, artillery, and everything else, and try to sleep, and it's the rotations are constant, With winter conditions, it's different because it's usually going to be 2/3 of your guys are down at any time, sleeping and trying to keep warm and everything. And then 1/3 is up doing activities and stuff. Whereas with outside of winter seasons and stuff, and then just depending on where you are, it's going to be either 50-50 or you're going to have 2/3 of guys up and then 1/3 down, and you're going to cycle 1/3 in and out, back and forth. So it's just kind of the nature of how it is to be alert. And then apart from that, what operations are planned and all that stuff. Phoenix, there's an art to trench warfare despite the violence, the chaos, and the technical manuals lend credence to both in Eastern and Western doctrine. Yeah, very much so. Very much so. And again, just look and learn, watch and learn everything that's going on. There's a lot of good information just in the first person and other combat footage that's come out. Excellent learning tools. Even back in the GWAT, when we were going through infantry school and everything, like, we were being, like, when it came to our CLS, combat lifesaver, TCCC kind of fusion medical training that we would do in infantry training, and back then we were still taught, like, IV installation and things like that. they would show us videos from the field, from over there, of what was happening and like what would go wrong and what would go right and how to do this and how to do that. So those are visual learning tools apart from then the practical hands-on learning that we did. I was lucky because my battle buddy was a paramedic, so he was really good with the medical stuff, and was very helpful in teaching me initially with all that. But the learning aids are there, and then too with like some of the other stuff. Like we got shown the Nick Berg execution video, the first beheading video that came out during the GWAT. They showed us to that in training, and they're like, "This is what you can expect. Don't get captured." You know. So it's just like it's as much a mental training, mental conditioning, as much as, hey, there's a lot here to learn from and apply to what doctrine you're making for yourself and how you're training and establishing drills and all that stuff. Did I miss any questions or topics or points here? I don't think so. Keep firing away, guys. There's some good stuff right here. We're already 25 minutes in, so time is flying. Fire away. Yeah, a little bit, Phoenix. Yeah, a little bit of trench sweeping with the Republican Guard. They're obviously their lines weren't nearly as extensive as what we're seeing, you know, in Eastern Europe or anything, but there were some, yeah. But Republican Guard ran away pretty quick, so they did not put. I mean, they put up a fight, but they didn't put up nearly as much of a fight as was what was expected from them at the time. They did a lot of tactical retreating, regrouping, and trying to fight, and then rinse and repeat. And then the dynamic of conflict changed, and it turned straight up into an insurgency after a while. Especially after we dissolved and then reformed their military and national police forces and stuff. And we were working alongside them, in short order after the initial invasion period. So then that dynamic changed to insurgency and your various terror cells and insurgent groups and foreign fighters coming in and all that stuff. Minuteman Medical, Leonard, because if you don't have a trauma center to go to, you're going to die. Yep. Practical Riflemen and Homefront Scenarios, as well as Prepared Citizens there a little bit, have excellent videos on Minuteman Field Medical and setting up triage centers and things like that. Homefront Scenarios one, and he's an EMT. His is long form, excellent video. I've got it in my logistics discussions playlist that I have on my channel. I've got a series of videos talking about different things. His video for that is in there as well, because it is a lot of really good information. So there's, if I haven't covered something, somebody else has. And I don't like to beat a dead horse, especially if the information's good. So then I compile it into playlists or whatever that I have on my channel. So that's in my logistics. I forget exactly what it's called, logistics topics and discussions or whatever, but it's talking about all that stuff. I've got a series of 4 videos talking about PACE route planning and PACE communications. I've got discussions on just general understanding, mindset, and concepts of various severe exigent situations with SHTF or whatever else. Like I've got a bunch of that in there already. So be sure to go check that out. It's a good playlist. There's a lot of good information in there. Phoenix, Ukraine has started digging in a bit of a defense in depth at Kursk. Kind of, yeah. Diversion to pull Russian forces from the south. I don't know if Russia is going to bite. No, that's exactly what it is. And I think they're going to have to, especially when all of their conscript forces in the Kursk region are throwing down their weapons and surrendering. They're taking their chances with the Ukrainians over dealing with their military echelon and the Russian government. So it is a way to try and get Russia to pivot manpower and logistics and resources to that area so that they're weakened in the Donbass and other regions of the south of Ukraine, so that then a pronged assault by Ukraine can happen, so they can take back more of their territory. Ideally, all the way into and through Crimea too. I mean, they want to get their land back, and I don't blame them. So. And it's also the Kursk offensive. Apart from what's going on with long range drone attacks into Russian territory and stuff, it's a way to show Russia, hey, you're not invincible here. Because I think they've greatly overestimated. Hold on. They've greatly overestimated what their capabilities are, and I mean, there's so much border and territory that's unchecked between Ukraine and Russia and Ukraine and Belarus and stuff. Like, it's easy to literally just walk across in a lot of places, let alone an entire, nearly an entire battalion of Russians fighting for Ukraine and some Ukrainians and some other entities going in mass into Russia. So drone warfare is scary to watch over there so far. It's intense. American Outlaw, Last American Outlaw or American Outlaw on YouTube, Trey, he did a really good video lately. He owns a drone company, high-end drone company. Trey's a really good dude, and he's got a really good video on drone aspects apart from seeing and learning from all the footage out there about drones. It is crazy. There's a few ways to effectively hide from them, but otherwise it's like, okay, what do you do? Skeet shooters are salivating at the mouth right now, right? So they're salivating at the mouth, wanting to get a bite of out of drones. So sorry, just replying. Phoenix, real reason, if Ukraine has enough gas, both logistically and in terms of manpower to capitalize in the South with the level of defensive worker mines they will have to deal with. Defensive works, only in certain areas. It's not like it's an entire line of attrition of Dragon's Teeth and mines and everything. There are major serious gaps all along the area. I mean, they're having trouble maintaining the area of control that they are anyway right now. They'll be, with the proper maneuver and coordination, they'll be able to move in. Manpower is a big issue for Ukraine right now. Logistics, I mean, they're getting fuel from neighbor nations. Apart from what sourcing is available that's still under their control right now, but they're getting fuel from neighbor nations. Keep firing away, folks. This is good stuff. Yep. Anyone new coming in? Say hey. Say hey in the chat. Ask a question. Bring up a topic of discussion. So far, more concerned about what our government might have in store for us, quote unquote, normal people that want to be left alone. I mean, hard to tell. I mean, you've got whatever verifiable information is in front of you. You already know the ulterior motives and the motives of the various political entities out there and what they're what their drives are for the upcoming election and everything. So vote accordingly. It's a big wait and see game. It really depends on what's. It depends as much about what's going to happen on the global theater as much as how that affects the domestic theater and what will change in time with any further serious involvement abroad. Because you got Iran and China to worry about, got North Korea to worry about, got a number of other countries to worry about, and things like that. I mean, we just had several military service members in Iraq get injured, and I think one or two was killed, even though they're not confirming it right now, from a Iranian-backed militia rocket and drone attack on I think it was Al-Assad base. I can't remember which base exactly, but so there's more and more escalation happening, and that's going to preoccupy a lot of parts of the government with that going on, and any further escalation apart from other stuff that's going on, just as much as what other parts of the government then are trying to do here at home. But nothing crazy is happening yet here domestically. So obviously, eyes open, ear to the ground. But you can only do so much with what you see in front of you. So, and it comes back to voting too. I know a lot of people are very facetious about the whole voting process and everything right now, but so long as no fuckery afoot happens, and an actually proper election is held, a secure and proper election is held, we'll see what happens. And a lot of people that gripe and complain, they're not doing anything about anything anyway. They don't work in a sector where they're protecting people, or where they're providing public services, or where they're doing crisis response or whatever, or they're not trying to run for these offices that are up for election in their local governments either. There's a number of things that people can do, but most people just want to gripe and complain instead of actually trying to do something. So Phoenix, hopefully they learn from last offensive, sticking Bradleys one on top of the other and throwing leopards away in open ground. That was one maneuver incident. They changed real quick after that. And the NATO provided vehicles are much more resilient than the old Russian ones, as we've seen as well. Phoenix, you'll vote, but you're pretty black-pilled on whether it means anything. I mean, again, it's yet to be seen, And that matters on the state level as much as the overall national elections for the major federal national elections. At the state level, it matters because they're just as much in charge of securing and having an objective host of the voting process as much as how everything factors from the federal side and everything, electoral college and all that stuff. So should they be using those Dominion machines? No, hell no. What are the alternatives? There's a couple. If they want to do everything by hand count, you're going to have to hire a hell of a lot more people, and that takes vetting, as well. So because there are people who will intentionally miscount, and whatever else, because they have ulterior motives. They're a lackey for whoever, So it's the whole elections process is very messy. So, but you have to try and make it as secure and objective as possible. Objective is keyword, So states that aren't going to play ball with that, that's a problem, And there's still multiple states right now that are going through the process of reviewing and holding elections commissions accountable for what happened in the past, because fraud happened. Again, objective data, objective fact. So New people arriving. Hello, welcome. Say hello in the chat, ask a question, fire off a topic of discussion. Soulfire, definitely local elections are far more important than national. We are getting some decent people in my local positions, which is nice. See, that's good. That's positive change, right? That's good. So if that can continue to happen, because there's only so much that the federal government can do, and then the rest falls onto the states. So as long as at the state level and smaller, things move in the way that people want them to move, with the right people being elected and good elections happening and all that, that's a good thing. So at least on small scale, at the local level, that's a good thing. So new people arriving. Hello, welcome. Say hey in the chat, ask a question, fire off a topic of discussion. I'm just kind of answering people's questions and having some good discussion with people here in the chat and just enjoying the day. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Shirt of the day, band of the day is Lurker of Chalice. Excellent band. If anyone knows it, you know. You just put a new album out not that long ago, too. It was all right. So, anyone else new? Say hey. Throw a comment, question out. Fire away. I'm a pretty open book. I'll talk about just about anything. So, Leonard, Kentucky. Yep. Who's got the plug on the other side? That has backdoor access, right? Phoenix, if any groups are willing to collaborate, your mutual aid group is open to forming that, for lack of a better term, so aren't organized or fractured. Yeah, and we were having that discussion actually in Discord not long ago with some of our buddies, and that's part of the bigger problem. So here's a topic. It's part of the bigger problem with the prepper and Minuteman and whatever communities and all that. Like there's a lot of fracturing. There's a lot of tribalism, which I understand to a certain extent, but if people want to see change on the national scale, on nationwide scale, there needs to be more continuity. There's a simple set of common goals to work towards, both for defense of your community, but also to help assist good entities that are in offices and whatever else, sheriffs and all that are good, help them with various things, emergency response and all that. Building that continuity and the national scale with all of the groups being able to communicate and effectively work together is going to be much more successful in the long run for a bigger amount of change for common goals across the country. You've got a lot of fracturing in all these groups because they perceive different types of scenarios and situations, so they're planning for different things, so they, and they're not creating a unified command system and anything else, a unified set of logistics that has crossover to a number of different situations, especially emergencies, natural disaster and otherwise, because those happen all the goddamn time. But also just beliefs, personal beliefs bleeding into what the goals are in greater for state and national level continuity and things like that, is you're going to have a conflict and contrast. Certain amounts of personal beliefs need to be kept personal, because the overall goal of the organization of your unit or whatever you want to call it, it needs to stay objective. It needs to stay commonsensical, logical, and in a not a statehood mindset per se, but just much more like that. A lot of people want to imbue personal beliefs and things like that into these things. That's problematic because not everyone's going to agree with those personal beliefs. So it's hey, what is going to be in that militarily and state aspect? what's going to be effective for implementing for command and control, for goals, commonality. That's a big one. Goals and commonality, and creating that continuity and communication and on a greater scale with all these organizations to be able to effectively work together. And that starts with several groups regionally and outward with different groups doing that regionally in their areas and communicating and coordinating. That's what that would take. Again, the military logistics, various groups and all that don't have military logistics, So then it comes down to those groups and their communities being able to have that continuity and coordination to work together for whatever incidences, situations, disasters, whatever the hell all that is, whatever you need out of that, Stuart, what's up, dude? Thanks for tuning in. Lurking and listening to the good stuff to get to the house. Hell yeah, man. Appreciate it. Do you got a question or topic? Fire away. Anyone else new coming in? Welcome. Say hey in the chat. Fire off a question, topic of discussion. Just kind of talking with everyone there. So, got the community post questions out of the way. That was at the beginning of the live stream here. So, anybody who's tuning in that did ask questions initially, you'll have to rewind later when this is all done and check out my answers. I'm sorry, I still don't know how to pronounce your name properly. Hopefully that's appropriate. I feel like the entire ecosystem of info is PSYOPs. BS meter is sharp, but getting tired with overactivity suggests only one side has ulterior motives for their policy stance. That seems naive. No, I never said that one side over the other has only one side has ulterior motive. I just said what their ulterior motives are. Information. Now, where I work job wise and stuff outside of all the music stuff I do and everything, like job wise, I work in the private security sector. I do threat assessments. I do physical security assessments. I do protective details. I've been a private military contractor. I've been executive protection specialist. I still do that from time to time. I do some analyst work. Like I do a number of things. I look at objective information, nothing that's skewed by the media, which I hate but there's like intelligence groups that are posting news articles and stuff. Like, no, get sources, sight on scene. Human intelligence is still one of the most effective, getting information from people who are there and can give you a bigger picture of what's going on the ground, apart from all of the other information, with some open source intelligence and then signals intelligence and everything else compiled together to give you an objective and comprehensive information package. That's the most effective and most important thing. A lot of things get lost in translation or get skewed by, again, media, the telephone game with people, like all that stuff. So you always have to go to sources, direct sources that are going to give you objective data and objective information. And there's a lot of people that do analysts and otherwise that do a compiling of data, and it is objective data. It is just raw numbers. It's just raw information, raw material, whatever it is. You use that to compile then into, again, that entire package of the view of what's going on. Okay. And then you can disseminate that and start giving briefings and articulate that to people and things like that. Meow. Oh, I see. Okay. Appreciate it. Soulfire Games. Fortunately, there is division in almost every community. Yep. Even in the farm groups, like to pick up information. Yeah, there is. And again, that's where it was like, okay, certain personal beliefs crossing over into what just simple objective goals are. It's a fine line. There's stuff that needs to be kept, whatever, and then there's things that need to be brought into the greater community aspect, right? Like there's some things, especially various personal beliefs, various medical things, that are HIPAA protected, whatever else. Like that's all personal. That's not anyone else's fucking business, Other stuff, as it pertains to a greater stability and commonality, Again, there's just a couple of core fundamental things, commonality across all the various groups to coordinate together and stuff. That's what matters. Phoenix, talking with your local. Yeah. You guys have a state militia territorial defense force. Yeah, that's right. You guys have an actual formal one, yeah. But you're trying to be really careful about vetting the groups associated with, because it can go tits up. Suddenly, credibility is destroyed. Yeah, exactly. That's happened in the past with groups too. So you do. Networking is essential, and it's good to again broaden that coordination and commonality and everything. But at the same time, like, what are some of the problematic things out there? Problematic leadership within those groups. And then you have infiltrators. You've got the honeypots and things like that. You've got individuals who are completely fucking cooked mentally and have some off the wall stuff that they're trying to influence into the group. And that causes problems too. Again, that personal belief bit, and just things like that. And then people that deplete resources and aren't contributing to replenish logistics, just things like that. Like, those are all people that you have to look out for. And it's like, being transparent, be transparent, there's no reason to be like super secretive or whatever if you're not breaking the law or doing anything wrong. It's like that for any organization, to include private security companies or anything else. If you're a formal organization, there's nothing to hide. You can be as transparent as you need to be, especially when you're providing disaster assistance and other things to your community. That's how you continue to build that credibility, apart from looking out for those problem people and risks previously mentioned. Anyone new? Say hey in the chat. Fire off a question, topic of discussion. There's been some really good stuff here, so appreciate it. Check this message here. I'm going to listen to that later. Jubba-dubba-doo. Questions, comments, topics, jokes, anything. Fire away. Drink water. Yeah, I'm going for almost an hour already. It's good. Time flies when you're having good discussions. Any other questions? It doesn't have to be just this topic. Anything, Like, talking about this stuff is good, but I'm not a one-trick pony. I'm not a flat piece of paper, I know most of you hopefully aren't out there. So whatever you want to talk about, fire away. A little bit of that. A little bit of that. Come on. Comments, questions, topics. Keep firing away. Discussion kind of died right there. Think we covered that topic pretty well. Doop-a-doop-a-doo. Phoenix, got some of your neighbors to buy food safe drums for water storage and explained to them how to treat it. Excellent. Very good. Water type. Deathcore guys only date girls named. Yep. Old school deathcore. New deathcore kind of sucks, honestly. Like, there's a couple of good bands out there. Like, I like Distant. Signs of the Swarm is good. There's a couple other ones, but it was cool with the old stuff, man. Old Chelsea Grin, old We Came with Broken Teeth, old, I Declare War, Salt the Wound, like love Salt the Wound. Carnal Repercussions, fantastic album. Old Whitechapel, Somatic Defilement, when they were still good. That album was good. It's stuff like that. Like that was the earlier MySpace deathcore days. Like that was the good stuff. Martin, hell yeah. What's up, dude? Leonard Collier, joke. What's brown and sticky all over? I don't know what. Soulfire Games. I haven't listened to anything heard in old school Metallica and Megadeth. Oh, well, I mean, you listen to like Testament or Slayer. Come on, Slayer, same era. Get on some Slayer. I mean, the world's your oyster with metal. It depends on how heavy you want to go, but there's a lot of like new wave of heavy metal stuff out there. There's a lot of that out there that are kind of within that vein. A lot of thrash bands. Municipal Waste, those guys are great. You got Havoc, you got a number of other bands that are all kind of keeping the thrash game going too. So some other good newer bands, Artificial Brain, they're great. Ulcerate, they're a bit heavier, a little more avant-garde. Ulcerate's fantastic. Martin, who's my favorite drummer? Man, I don't know. There's a lot of good drummers I really like, man. Obviously, Lord Marco. He's a homie. Marco's a homie. George Colias, John Longstreth, Inferno, Hellhammer. Like there's so many good drummers out there. Alex Rudiger, like dude, there's so many good drummers. Like I can't just pick one, and they all do amazing things. Like so much talent out there. The drummer we have for the local project, local band I'm in, Aposticum. We're working on our first full length album right now. Zeb, he's a beast, super good drummer too. I mean, dude, yeah, there's so many good drummers. Leonard, goddamn it, that was a good one. Okay, all right, that was a good one. Nice. Phoenix Blaze. So I got a family member that lives in the Ozarks. Nice. 60-acre plot. Any advice for people preparing up in mountainous terrain? Ozarks aren't really mountains. They're more like highlands, which we have some of those here kind of to the west of me, to the west and to the northwest a little bit. More of a highland area. A lot of rock bluffs and stuff. A lot of different rock features, but they're not like super high altitude mountains or anything. Much like the Ozarks, the highest point here is maybe 1,900 feet, 2,000 feet. Not high, not like what you're going to see in the Appalachians or the Rockies or anything. So kind of similar. And people that live in the Ozarks know, the weather can change fairly quickly because it does become kind of its own microclimate because of a little bit of that terrain differentiation, and then just depending on what river valleys and other features like that you have running through that archipelago. Weather changes fast, so always got to pay attention to it. Other than that, I mean, that's a beautiful area. You have a lot of plentiful resources out there. Water, food, all that. Other than that, it's just, find the right flora and edibles and stuff that you can plant and grow out there. What's going to be resilient to the weather factors, things like that. It doesn't get nearly as cold as it does up here, when I go down there, because One Shepherd Leadership Institute is their alpha company is in the Ozarks in Western Missouri. I've gone down there a couple of times, and they get much more like intermediate wet cold, up near around freezing and stuff during the day. And like when they do have snow, and then it gets down colder at night during the winter season, that intermediate kind of wet, cold stuff, that stuff's dangerous. So wool is king, plan accordingly. That's really all I can say about the Ozarks. Beautiful area though. Martin, hell yeah, dude, hell yeah. Keep firing away, folks. Anyone new that's come in, welcome. Say hey in the chat. Fire away with any questions, topics, whatever. Slow mode is on. Keep it coming. We're at an hour. Got an hour left. More to talk about. And drink water. Drink water. Fire away, folks. So fire. Do I have time to hunt, or have you ever hunted? I do. I grew up hunting. I've been hunting for a long time. I learned how to shoot when I was like 7 years old. About my grandpa taught me how to shoot, and we were hunting. I've been hunting since then. There's been a couple of deer seasons recently that I've missed up here, unfortunately, because of work. But yeah, I still try and get out whenever I can. And then other game hunting and bird, and we have grouse up here. Or whitetail is some of the best in the country. We have some of the best big ass whitetail deer up here. Pest hunting, coyote and stuff too. Like anything, I'll hunt it all. But yeah, I do as much of it as I can, which is difficult with work, but and everything else extracurricular I have going on. But yeah, no, when I can, I do love hunting. Big Motrin, well, ibuprofen, but Motrin, NSAIDs, and change your socks. Absolutely. Soulfire, do a lot of hunting in West Virginia and Maryland. Deer, turkey, and bear. Yep, got all those here. Really good turkey hunting up here too. Great turkey. We have black bear here, big black bear because we're so far north. We don't see a lot of brown bear. Occasionally you'll see one like really far up north, but they're not common. We do have moose, a little bit of elk, a lot of whitetail. We got cougars, bobcats. All that good stuff. Leonard, Appalachia has its own weather too. Call it the meth bubble, right? Yeah, and when it comes to elevation and terrain feature changes and those archipelagos and stuff, I mean, Appalachians are gorgeous too, obviously. And these areas here in my area, I love them. They're great, but it is a little bit of a different climate than the rest of the state, Meth bubble. That's funny. Anyone else joining? Welcome. Say hello in the chat. Ask a question. Topic of discussion. Fire away. I'm here for another just under an hour to talk with everyone. So there's been some great questions, and it was a great community to post questions for the Q&A and all that. That was all fantastic. So thank you, everyone, for asking those, and keep them coming. Keep firing away. Fire away. That's funny. Fire away. Let's see. Okay, there's just more messages. Sorry, my messenger is kind of going crazy right now. Work stuff's been pretty busy, as people can imagine, but is what it is. Looks like someone popped in and then left. Say hey, fire away. Anything is on the table to talk about, whatever. And for those wondering, Camel Turkish Golds. Delicious. Soulfire, thanks for the Q&A and the welcome in the Discord. Yeah. I'm a moderator in Wired Tight, his Discord, as well as Homefront Scenarios. Go check them out. Thanks for jumping in there, man. You have a good evening as well. Thanks for the questions and topics of discussion. That was good. Appreciated that. So hopefully I gave some good answers. I try to articulate as best as I can. Keep firing away, folks. Fire away. As you can see, I'm a big audiophile. Got a lot of CDs and cassettes. I don't collect vinyl. The only vinyls I get are from like the labels when they for my bands, like when the label sends us test prints or various versions of the vinyls for my personal collection or whatever. Half of them I end up giving away or whatever, but for those. But yeah, no, I have a lot of CDs and cassettes too. Love it. And of course, as you can see over here, love my medieval weapons as well. As Phoenix also appreciates. The goodies of antiquity. Phoenix, I got a Yugo copy of TT-33 Tokarev. Oh, yeah. Those, honestly, I like the Tokarev way more than the Makarov style pistols. Tokarevs are sweet. I got a couple of buddies that have Tokarevs. The round has some spice behind it too, so I don't mind those for an old school like Comblock style pistol. Like, yeah, Tokarevs are legit. I think doesn't Chud? I think Chud carries a Tokarev too, or did, or maybe he was a Makarov. I can't remember. I thought he had a Tokarev. I don't mind them. They're fun to shoot too. So. I like some old school wheel guns too. I really like British Webley wheel guns too. The old World War I, World War II revolvers. Their cylinders go out of time really easily, and it can be bad. I mean, but mass production, kind of lower grade steel. You know, what do you expect? But they're cool as hell pistols too. Leonard, that's a grade A cigarette. Yes, it is. Recently switched to Lucky Strikes. Oh, nice. Filtered or unfiltered? I do like the occasional unfiltered Lucky. Toasty and delicious. Quite nice. Yeah, I've been smoking Turkish Golds for years. Started with cigars. Turned 18. My dad was big into cigars. Turned 18. Had cigars with him on and off, and then joined the military and started smoking cigarettes, and pretty much ever since then. Whatever. It's my only vice. Yeah, he does. Yeah, carry for a while. Yeah. That's what, that's what I thought, man. It's a good pistol. It is. It holds up, man. That round performs. You know, it's a good pistol for what it is. I mean, if they made like a double stack version, or if somebody made like a modern variant of it, or a striker fire variant of it, but with double stack, like it would actually kind of take off. Just because there's that community and aesthetic behind it, you know. It's kind of like what with Springfield tried to do with the SA-35, bringing back the Browning high power. Problem is quality control, but they look great, but quality control issues. If the quality control issues weren't there, I would have picked one up, but you can't beat the old Browning high power. CZ-82. Oh yeah, that one. That's true. CZ-82. Now, I personally am more of a 40 shooter. A lot of people growing at that. I don't care. I've been shooting 40 for a long time, and professionally too. But in work, you know, if we're not shooting 9s, we're shooting 40s. That we get issued 40s, depending on what the contract is and whatever. So we use those alongside 9mm. So And it's just personal preference. It's a good round. Glock perfection. Phoenix Yuga version that's double stack holds 12, but they aren't common. Oh yeah, that's right. No, that's true. You're right. You're right. Yeah, you don't see them often. 12 still really isn't that much of a capacity considering that round, but yeah. I want to. Doesn't ProMag make an extended mag for them, or is it just for? Might just be for the Berettas and stuff. Later, filtered, unfiltered are way too high. Yeah, and they're expensive too right now, man. Price has gone up and everything. The economy sucks. Yeah, occasionally I'll get a pack of unfiltered Luckies just because they're tasty. Once in a blue moon, you know. No, it's good stuff. Yeah, ProMag makes metal mags too, apart from their god awful polymer ones, but they do make some metal mags that actually aren't terrible for aftermarket because they make extended ones for Berettas and some other ones. I wasn't sure if they had made one for Tokarev or not, but they do have some niche pistols that they've made metal magazines for, so can't remember exactly. More questions, comments, topics, fire away. Keep it coming. Keep it coming. It's good discussions here. So it's been some good questions that haven't been asked and topics that haven't been necessarily brought up or asked in other lives that I've done or whatever. So this is good. Good discussion. Anything. Anything you got. Anything about anything. Doesn't have to be one type of topic. Caliber doesn't really matter. Puts holes in things. Yeah, exactly. Some just take less to, stop the thing. But they all put holes. That's true. Anyone new coming in? Welcome, welcome. Oh no, they left. So the white dot method. So the reference dot did on backplate of Glock slides pretty effective for rapid point shooting at close ranges. Yeah, it is. And that's the whole point of it. It's just for a reference for rapid acquisition, closer range. And then I didn't do it with a paint pen. I did it with some of that model acrylic paint, so it stays on better. Because the paint pen stuff will wear off over time. That's much stronger. It's not acrylic. It's enamel, model enamel paint. So use that. Becoming dangerous. Evening. Hey, welcome. Thanks for tuning in. Fire away with any questions, topics of discussion, anything you got. World's your oyster. Nothing's really off the table. Thanks for tuning in. Meow asks, when's the last time you went to a beach? Ooh. So I was just in North Carolina, kind of on the coast not that long ago, end of June, beginning of July. Didn't really get to the beach though, but it was very sandy. We have a couple of beaches here for freshwater lakes and stuff, and I'll go to them sometimes, like when I'm on a hike or whatever. There's a couple of lakes right by me here, so occasionally I'll go to them. So probably 2 weeks. As far as a freshwater beach, not like an ocean beach. Last time I was at one of those has been a while. Ooh, probably 2012. Yeah, Dauphin Island, Alabama. Great food down there. It's kind of a beach resort area, although it's kind of slowly sinking into the sea, and gets ravaged by hurricanes every other year. But it is a place I recommend for a vacation. Fairly inexpensive, and again, fantastic food. Dauphin Island, Alabama. Leonard, favorite brand of truck? Toyota. Land Cruisers, Forerunners, Tacomas, and your Hiluxes. They're the most reliable. I've had excellent luck, and they just run and run and run. Especially older models, early Gen 4s, and like your Gen 3s and stuff. Like, yeah, they just run and run and run. They're easy to work on, and they're just reliable. I mean, everywhere I go, whether it's Iraq or Colombia or wherever, in the U.S. or wherever, like usually I try and find a Toyota to use, or they have Toyotas, if it's a company I'm working for, um, in the mix. Usually it's a mix of like Land Cruisers, and then we'll have like Suburbans or whatever if it's for like a company like Triple Canopy. Um, but the Toyotas are just really reliable and really easy to work on, so those are always my go-to. You've been there, desolate but pretty. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like, yeah, half of Dauphin Island is just that big sandbar with those stilted beach houses, and then the other half is like kind of your more sandy mix of palm trees and cypress and whatever else, kind of just your wet southern kind of climate. But yeah, it's a cool area, beautiful. And I've been to Florida a lot in the past too, and then and all that. The Keys are fun. I like the Keys. I got family in Corpus Christi, Texas too, so I'll go see them sometimes. It's been a while, but you know, um, I like those areas too, for a vacation, as it were. Yeah, I liked Dolphin Island. It was cool. Just kick back and eat some good food and relax. Keys are fun. I enjoyed the Keys too. And then in North Carolina, um, seafood place I recommend in North Carolina. It's called Vail House. Vail. Vail House. It's over in. It's a city of Goldsboro. There's a big Air Force base there. Goldsboro, North Carolina. Vail House. Excellent, excellent seafood. Highly recommend if anyone's in that area anytime soon. Phoenix Blaze. So your group recently practiced a bit of a amphibious movement in the swamp at night with 12-foot flat bottom John boats. Nice. Painted M81. Use the Marine Corps technical manual as a foundation. That's good. That's a good manual to go off of. Ranger handbook as well, obviously. Yeah, adapt heavily for your use. Yeah, you kind of have to. Ranger handbook, especially because Ranger school is kind of a similar area, just in Georgia. With a lot of kind of swampy and wetland there on Benning. More whatever. It's Fort Benning. It's always going to be Fort Benning. So a lot of the stuff in the Ranger doctrine actually has a really good crossover to your area too, since you're kind of the same kind of stuff. Yeah, no, that's cool. That's good. That's good stuff, man. It's thinking outside the box and having that applicability because of that type of environment that you're in. That's smart. It's good stuff. Oh yeah, I guess the other big thing is I am working in the process of starting a camouflage company. I've got designs done, and I'm working right now. So intellectual property, they're already under trademark, just not the registered trademark, but they are protected under IP law for trademark and all that, along with the brand and logo and everything that I have. Um, so I'm going through the formal trademark registration process with all that and everything right now. And then I will be working with some nylon mills and fabric raw material for ripstop nylon for uniforms and all that. Start working with them after that process is finished to license the patterns to print on material for various companies to pick up to produce uniforms and equipment. So that's been a big thing in the works. That's kept me pretty busy, but That's a big thing, I guess. A big announcement here too is I've got that in the works too. I also did a custom pattern design for Bug Out Bushido, so everyone go check out Bug Out Bushido. Also, former contractor and veteran brother. Um, he's got some really cool stuff in the works coming soon as well. So go check him out. Becoming dangerous. Adapt to the environment that you're teening in. Yes. Real world unit knowledge will not be in those books. They're just a good starting point. Yeah, exactly. Obviously, that's pretty obvious that they're. It's the fundamentals to build the foundation off of, and then advanced technique and practices. Yes, always. It's like my area is quite different from a lot of the people that live in the South, and it seems like a lot of the community is in the South. You know, I'm kind of an outlier to some degree up here in my area, um, but providing some of the expertise and knowledge of my area and stuff, apart from what does have crossover in the foundational level and then building off of that, you know, it's all different. Like multicam, FedCam, OCP, whatever. That shit sucks up here. It is way too bright. Um, maybe a small window of applicability like in autumn, but it's still we get a lot less sunlight than the rest of the country, so it's just bright. Slightly darker patterns and augmented patterns, M81 US Woodland. Flectarn during autumn, British DPM, OG DPM. Like those patterns are still much more effective up in my area. Whereas a number of other patterns, to include like Multicam Tropic, are going to work for some of those southern areas a lot better. They don't work nearly as well up here. And that's just at a camouflage fundamental level, but the application for training, building fundamental stuff, operational continuity, you know, all that stuff. Training wise, it's still, again, very different. We have a pretty wide range of different terrains here. Highlands, we have some wetland conservation areas, lots of water, rivers, lakes, all that stuff, and a lot of woods. And then the farms of farmlands. So a lot of open danger areas, a lot of tree break wood lines and stuff. Similar to what you see in Ukraine in part. Until you get to the dense forest and stuff, which is much more similar to Europe. And other states similar to mine, like Alaska or Maine or whatever. I'm familiar with East Tennessee. Yeah, I got a buddy that lives in Johnson City. You almost need 3 different patterns for the seasons out here. Yeah, you do. You do. Same here. You know, the seasons are so different from each other. You do need to adapt and have multiple options for yourself, whether it's surplus off the shelf or homemade or whatever. Yeah, absolutely. Phoenix. Trouble we found is finding the balance of camouflage, keeping down shine, but also breaking up straight lines of silhouette using paddles and electric props to cut down on noise. Yep. Camouflage fundamentals, right? Like the Woodland Associates video that I did, because it talks about shape, shine, and noise, movement, you know, all that stuff. Everyone go check out that video. Woodline Associates, the camouflage fundamentals video. I did that one. Talks about all that and how to work at mitigating and using those principles effectively for yourself. Another reason why I'm developing camouflage patterns right now and starting this camouflage organization, so that I can provide effective camouflages for different regions based on what I've designed, to have something a little bit more effective for yourself based on where you are. Because a lot of the quote unquote universal camouflage patterns are not. They work kind of okay across a large variety of regions and terrains, but they're not as effective as they could be for specific regions. So that's why I'm designing different patterns for different regions that are more specialized and are going to work more effectively. So and there's some other companies that do that too. So mine's just a different kind of style of pattern. So. But yeah, I mean, application operationally of those fundamentals and kind of figuring out, again, fundamentally, foundationally, Ranger Handbook, they talk a lot about, at least in that section, about, you know, paddling with their zodiacs and their ribs and stuff, you know, and and all that. Paddling does cut down on noise. It's going to take you longer to get from point A to point B and just kind of get around in general, but principles there for sound discipline. And a little bit of visual discipline either as well, because you can be more low profile. Paddles can reflect a little bit because they're wet. When they're coming out of the water, you get a little bit of shine reflection, or you can. There's ways to mitigate that with matte finish paint to a certain extent, things like that for coatings. But yeah, it's a lot of that kind of stuff. Electric props, obviously good. There's some fallibility with them because you have to recharge them and, all that stuff. But of course, great tool to have in the toolbox, based on your applicability. Kind of the same deal here. Again, we have a lot of water features, rivers, lakes, all that stuff. So, you got to figure out how to navigate those. If you can't cross on foot, standard creek or river crossing or whatever on foot, if you can't do that, and some of the rivers we have here are deadly and large, you have to adapt and use other things, canoes, kayaks, whatever, or something powered. So, but no, that's good, man. Vader, tell you it's deadly and large. Ooh, hell yeah, man. What's up, bro? Giggity. And yeah, keep healing, man. Keep recovering. What's good, Pookie? I was just doing my I do a monthly Q&A live stream for about 2 hours. So I do a community post on my channel, and then people ask questions there. I answer those, and then just kind of a free-for-all general talk with people interacting in the chat, questions, topics, all that stuff for about 2 hours. I do that I do it once a month. So this is my monthly Q&A that I'm doing right now. I got to call Zeb later about the thing that we're working on. So I'll be doing that in about half an hour. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, bro. Hell yeah, glad you caught it. I've talked about Aposticum yet? A little bit. I brought up a little bit of the music stuff, but Aposticum is one of the local bands I'm in, and Vader is a member as well, frontman, founder. Black death metal, think Belphegor, Hate, Morbid Angel, Demigod, Apostasy Era, Behemoth, stuff like that. Yeah, we have a single out. Some of you may have seen the single on my channel, but it's also on the Aposticum official YouTube channel, so go check that out. Also on Facebook and all that stuff. Yeah, we're working on our first full-length album, and it'll be awesome. So doing a lot of practicing, rehearsing, getting ready for that. I do the graphic design, did the logo and stuff for that project, as well as a lot of other projects. I do that in the music industry as a side gig, but professionally. And yeah, so go check out Aposticum, folks. Aposticum, Latin for the accusation of apostasy. Leonard Collier, awesome. Cannot wait to get a risky recounter rig from you. Oh, yeah, well, so the prototype rig that I designed, I'm still trying to find a manufacturer for that. Unfortunately, there are some other options out there on the market, whether it's the Nixie Works rig or the DEFCON 5 rig or the Tasmanian Tiger Warrior belt rig. They're all LBE belt system rigs. Really, the only difference with mine is that there's the additional detachable chest placard to plus up with that rig, and then everything is a stitched construction like a SADF Pattern 83 battle jacket, but in an LBE hybrid format. That's really the only differences. But there's other ones out there right now that are worth picking up. Still working on finding a manufacturer. I've talked to over 45 different companies about with proposal for the prototype. I've only had 3 that are interested, but it's just not in a time frame right now that they're able to do production, or they wanted me to order a bulk amount of production stock. I don't have capital to order that. So they didn't want to do a contract thing with a royalties division, agreement, and things like that, which I get. While it's extremely viable to do, made to order for each unit, I get why they don't want to do that. And that's fine, But there was a couple of companies that were interested, but nothing's come of it yet. So still working the process with the risky Wakanda rig. Until I find something solid for that, I'm working on this camouflage system stuff in the meantime, and that entity, and that's going to be a lot easier to do, especially once the trademark is finished, and then I can approach the nylon and fabric mills to start printing it on material, and then different companies can license to make equipment with those patterns. So that's the process I'm in right now for that. Phoenix, John boats are just noisy by default, so lining them with something because any little bit of movement and metallic sound travels across the water a good distance, not to mention in draws and gators. Yeah. Well, you probably have to flex seal them or something. Kind of like a rubberized coating on them. I don't know how effective that would be, but I mean, it works for other types of boats, so it's probably what you have to end up doing to them on the inside and the outside. So you have that just full vibration dampening and sound dampening. Vader, hell yeah, bro. Just wanted to jump in and harass you for a second. Appreciate it. Stick around, bro. Gonna have to check the rest of the live Q&A later after work. Oh, yeah, that's right. Your work. Cheers, bro. Take it easy, man. Thanks for tuning in. And Extra Grind. Hey, brother. How you doing, man? What's up, fam? There, that's for you. Cheers, man. Drink water. Thanks for tuning in, Extra Grind. Fire off with any topics of discussion, questions, anything you got. I got about 30 minutes left in my live stream here, so. Several coats of rhino liner. Yeah, I get the same kind of thing. Yeah. You'll accomplish the same thing. I don't know what costs less between all of them. I don't know what's cost less, but that's a good plan. Something to take care of shine, but also just dampen sound and vibration. It's gonna make it heavier, but I mean those John boats got some serious power on them, so hell yeah. Questions, topics, fire away. Ooh, you're out hunting rabbits right now, Extra Grind. Hell yeah, dude. Watch out for the trichinosis. But that's awesome, dude. I love rabbit stew and roasted rabbit, fire roasted rabbit. Oh, so good. So good. I haven't had rabbit stew in a while. I need to go out to my buddy's place and hunt a couple. Make some rabbit stew. Delicious. Roasted rabbit's super good too. That's awesome, dude. Way to be self sufficient there and getting out there and doing it. Oh, you're sport hunting? Oh. Well, save them. Freeze them until winter. It's coming soon anyway. Stock up those food reserves, bro. Modern Frontiersman. Hey, guys. Hey. What's up, bro? Oh, that's right, Phoenix. Yeah, that's right. You have rabbit farm, or part of your farm is rabbits. That's right. Process 30. Nice. Josh, Modern Frontiersman. What's up, dude? Questions, topics of discussion. Fire away. Anything you got. Keep the pelts too. You can sell the pelts. There's still some places that'll buy rabbit furs. I know it's not nearly as big of a market as it used to be, or compared to like beaver or mink farms or whatever. But you don't eat the cottontails. Jackrabbits are for target practice. That's fair. I mean, jackrabbits can get pretty big though. You can get some good meat off of them, but the jackrabbits are more prone to trichinosis too. So I mean, that's fair. Martin Fortuitous, man, you think Israel is going to get smashed? I mean, dude, they're a modern military. If they doctrinally and operationally do things the right way for themselves and don't get embroiled into another currently what they're dealing with Hamas and like what we dealt with, with the Jihad insurgency, if they can try and avoid that as much as possible, they can be very effective. If Iran gets involved, and I talked about this earlier, if Iran gets involved, it's going to become a global conflict. It's not just going to be them involved. Iranian-backed groups already attacked one of our bases and injured and potentially killed a couple of service members again recently. So it's only a matter of time. Those catalyzing events, like I've said with that list of things, those catalyzing events are adding up. And at some point, it's gonna kick off. But I don't know. If they can keep up the numbers and they can keep up the op tempo, and again, they have very effective modern equipment. I mean, I think they'll hold their own. Just objectively looking at it, they've got modern aircraft, they've got modern weapons, they've got a lot of advantages to include on the tech side, drones and otherwise, that they can use to their advantage. And that's just looking at it objectively. Becoming dangerous. Found out groundhog is surprisingly good a couple months ago. Oh, nice, yeah. My buddy out in South Dakota hunts a lot of prairie dog and groundhog, and he eats them. Yeah, totally. Let's see. Meow. How accurate do you rate the realism of military action in the 1981 classic film Southern Comfort? Oh man, I haven't watched that one in a while. I don't know. I would have to rewatch that one and get back to you on that. Haven't. It's been a long time since I've seen that movie. I can't really remember it. That wasn't one that really stuck on my radar compared to other movies from the 80s, like Uncommon Valor. That was one of my favorites from the early 80s with Gene Hackman, Fred Ward, Patrick Swayze, one of his first roles and all that. I don't remember Southern Comfort all that much, unfortunately. I'm sorry. I will have to rewatch that one. And Extra Grind, you see the video of the IDF raping their prisoner? Yeah, I did. Strange practice, but the other side over there does it too, and not just in that area, but all over the Middle East they do that too. So strange. I don't know why they would do that. Besides, and I mean, you hear about it with like the Russian mafia back in the day. They would do it as a humiliation tactic and stuff, but I don't know why they're doing that. It just seems like a odd thing to me. Yeah, I do not recall Southern Comfort all that well. Ogre, Red Dawn. What about Red Dawn? Good movie. Becoming Dangerous, Gay Thursday, just ain't a joke. No, no, and that's what I'm saying. Experience-wise, other parts of the Middle East and stuff, it's a thing. Yeah, so. But that IDF incident didn't happen on a Thursday, though. It happened, I think, like a week or two ago on like a Monday or something. Or a Wednesday, one of those, whatever. But no, yeah, you're right. Becoming Dangerous. It is a thing in other places. Not as common in Iraq, but Afghanistan. Oof, yikes. Ogre, your point. Goose, you mean good movie? Yeah, it is a good movie. You're so sick of supporting him. I mean, yeah, I just don't care. I look at things, especially in that world with global conflict and militaries and all that. I look at everything objectively. Besides what friends I have involved in various conflicts and stuff, because I have Ukrainian friends and I have friends working in Ukraine and stuff. Like, those are my friends, but I'm looking at the conflict objectively. I have to look at all that stuff objectively. That's just the kind of person I am, but also just like how people should be looking at those things. As far as, I mean, so militarily, diplomatically, and things like that, they're an ally in the region. More of an ally than Turkey is. I don't even know why Turkey is still in NATO. They shouldn't be. We're friendly with Jordan too, which is strange, and there's a lot of turmoil going on in Jordan right now. But as a contractor, we partially train in Jordan before going to places like Iraq and stuff, and then do more training in Iraq too, obviously while working and everything. But a block of training is done in Jordan. They're kind of a partner, not as strong as other countries in the region though. And they're an advanced military and stuff, and they're jointly conducting operations against Iran and Iranian-backed groups, because that's a breadbasket of terrorism is Iran, so the whole enemy of your enemy is your friend kind of thing, and that goes for other groups in the region as well. So it's a double-edged sword, Becoming dangerous. Turkey stabs us in the back every chance to get. Yeah, so does Saudi Arabia. The fact that the only reason Turkey is the only two reasons Turkey is still a NATO member, they provide ammunition, and it's a strategic location. Those are the only two reasons, and they should not be in NATO though. Yeah, Leonard, they are terrible for NATO. Yes, I'm familiar with the USS Liberty incident in Axe to Grind. I am. Again, just back to what I just said. It's a very complicated dynamic within that whole region of the world. But enemy of your enemy is your friend kind of thing. That's at base. That's the name of the game over there. That's why we also support the Kurds subversively, even though they're largely socialist organized. The autonomous region of Kurdistan and all of their various factions. We still support them because they're fighting Daesh, ISIS. They're fighting the Iranian-backed militia groups and otherwise. But then turn around. Turkey's a NATO member, but we're supporting the Kurds, and they're attacking each other right now. It's messy situation. Leonard, Saudi is also awful. Yeah, absolutely spy on you when you're there. Yeah, well, and they fund terrorism. They're one of our largest military economic partners in that entire region, but yet they turn around and a lot of financiers, a lot of financing for various terror organizations comes out of Saudi Arabia. It's a massive problem. Why do we keep them in our pocket? Oil. And a strategic location. And an economic partner militarily. They don't have any other commodity or export that we get besides oil. Becoming dangerous. Don't get me started with the Saudis. They're playing over there. We were playing over there in 2015. I had a friend on the other side working for the airport. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Air Force. Oh, gotcha. Yeah. Yep. I've flown through there a couple of times. I haven't really had to deal with them otherwise, apart from the foreign fighter Saudis that would come into Iraq, or when our groups or the government, whoever's doing the digging, would find the money trail of Saudi financiers supporting various terror organizations. So I know, man. I know. It's a mess. It's bad. Yeah, almost hour 45. We were trucking along. I got about just over 15 minutes left in the live stream here. So any other questions, topics, whatever, fire away. Fire away. No, Bin Laden was not Saudi. He was Egyptian, if I'm not mistaken. A lot of dealings in Saudi Arabia. And a lot of, again, financing and partnerships in Saudi Arabia. But people need to realize he also had a legitimate successful construction business as well. His family still runs, worth millions, you know. But yeah, on the terrorism side, yeah. Maybe he wasn't. Yeah, no, I don't think he was Saudi. I can't remember, honestly. I want to say he was Egyptian though, originally, or maybe he started his construction company in Egypt originally. I can't remember, one of the two. That gets all convoluted and complex too. Just who's where, money's where. Yeah, you see a lot of those organizations, you know, handing money off back and forth to each other too, apart from direct from the financier side of it. When you kind of look at it in certain like graphics and stuff, it's just this giant messy web of shit, and everything's going everywhere and connecting to everyone in some way or another. Whether it's like, third degree of separation, this commander knows these people or whatever, it's wild. And that's true. Becoming dangerous. They don't see countries like we do. Correct. Yeah. Very much more open border. And very much easier to get identity and passport from neighboring countries and things like that too. So you could be, you could be a Jordanian and get a Syrian passport, whatever. Same kind of thing. But yeah, very true. You know. Topics, questions, keep firing away. Anyone new coming to the chat, say hello in the chat. Fire off question, fire off topic of discussion. Got about just under 15 minutes left here in the live stream. It's Leonard, it's in the YouTube studio settings, because I just go through YouTube Studio. I don't go through StreamYard or anything. But in the YouTube Studio settings, when you get the template ready for a live stream, you have options to set slow mode for chat. Mine's just a 10-second delay, but it's enough for me to help keep track of the chat and also keep spamming bots away, because that is a problem in chats where there's no restriction on it, or no limitation, because it's just Autobot spam stuff. So yeah, Josh, Modern Frontiersman, if you're still in here, figure out slow mode features for YouTube Studio and how you can cross-platform that to StreamYard, if you can at all. I don't think you can from StreamYard, so you would have to do it in YouTube. Becoming dangerous. Same problem with India and Pakistan. Yep. The British went in after the Ottomans fell and just drew lines and made up countries with no account of the people. Absolutely. And that's why you see the Kashmir being as spicy as it is. Let alone, just the ethnic and tribal aspects of it, with a lot of crossover in what is now the border areas. A lot of cultural peoples that are the same on both sides regionally. And then very different, farther away you get. But I mean, it was, just a common open crossing for the longest time until Victorian period, when the Brits came in. Kashmir is spicy, man. They had constant fighting. The the India and China border dispute up in the Himalayan range is very interesting as well too. That's very interesting. Not nearly as violent or kinetic as the Paki and Indian side of it, but I mean, they're over there duking it out with sticks and rocks, just brawling on the Chinese India border side. Some wild videos out of there that I've seen. But the Pakistani and Indian Kashmir side, I mean, that's straight up warfare. That's artillery, recoilless rifles, gunfights, all that. Like, that's a very hostile area. It's like that with Armenia and Azerbaijan too, with their border, and like the whole Nagorno-Karabakh thing, and this ethnic group sides with this country, but then they're in this area and vice versa, you know, and it's a very kinetic conflict as well, still right there too. I'm surprised that the Chinese-India border hasn't gone hot yet either, especially because with us and a lot of the West economically, there's been an economic shift pulling out of China and going to places like India as an economic partner now, which really grinds China's gears too. But you know, fueling that economic warfare is this tribal things. I'm surprised it hasn't gotten spicier than it has too. Um, I think both sides are much more trying to keep a level head about things, even though again there's been literal fistfights and stuff on the border there between those guys. But yeah, it's a very strange dynamic, especially with all the other larger factors involved into the geopolitical spectrum there. And both countries are nuclear countries too. Both countries have nuclear weapons, which is especially for Pakistan and India. They both have nuclear weapons too, and that's very it's very dangerous because of the hostilities between those two. Definitely not the case as of right now with India and China, but the two most populous countries in the world, India and China, going at it would be pretty crazy. It would detract and distract the Chinese a little bit from what they have with their sights set on all of Southeast Asia, which they do. For those that don't know, the Chinese have active naval ports in Cambodia, and then everything, of course, going on between the Philippines and Taiwan and China and stuff right now. So China's not just going to stop at Taiwan. They want all of Southeast Asia, to include Vietnam, Thailand, Myanmar, and all those. They back the Myanmar, Burmese military junta, whatever you want to call it, right now, even though that hasn't been terribly effective. And then the whole India thing, which it's one of those things, man. You just have to sit back and watch and be like, holy crap, you know. Leonard, when China goes after Taiwan, India will also kick off. That's possible. I would not rule that out. There is a percentage of possibility, just a objective percentage. There is a percentage of possibility there. Absolutely. Very, it could get very spicy very quickly, especially because the U.S. and then Australia and some other countries are heavily posturing as well in the Philippines and Taiwan and stuff. You know, we're giving Taiwan anti-air, anti-surface, missile batteries. We're giving them F-16s, giving them weapons and stuff. We're stationing more Marines in the Philippines. We're trying to bolster the Philippines' military presence, and military posture. All that. So I mean, it's a matter of time. Again, like I said at the beginning of the live stream, the economic warfare is going on. The cyber counterintelligence warfare is going on. The propaganda campaign stuff is psychological campaigns are going on right now. Creation, development, testing, and fielding of new equipment is going on. The proxy conflicts are going on. That's 5 points. There's 2 more points. One is the 6 point is major catalyzing event or series of catalyzing events that push countries into war declaration, and then an increase of covert operations. And then after that, full-scale kinetic conflict. That's the 5th point. That's the end point for any global scale conflict. So we're working our way into point 6 right now. So it's statistically, it's just a matter of time with certain regions and certain countries to do something that's going to cause that to happen. And again, U.S. Congress is already trying to push it with Iran right now. Matter of time with China and stuff to see if anything would happen there, and a matter of time with Russia too. Again, a smaller percentage compared to Iran and some other countries, but it's still a percentage in the factor of risks that are there right now. So a lot of countries are going to get stretched real thin if it kicks off global. So wartime economies are going to kick up, but that's still only a temporary band-aid to economics. Yep, inflection point. Exactly. A catalyzing conflict or series of catalyzing conflicts. Yep. And then game on, Damn, it was a great conversation. You got about 6 minutes left in the live stream. Time flies when you're having good conversations with people. Definitely appreciate everyone tuning in and throwing out some great topics and questions and stuff. This was good. A lot more geopolitical than I thought it was going to be for this one, but I don't mind it. So it's good. It's a good discussion. So definitely my wheelhouse too, because I'm, work wise and professionally for my job, that's, I'm looking at that stuff all the time, apart from the work I have to do domestically. So Leonard, I wonder if Taiwan would arm its populace two-way if that would deter China. I mean, to a certain extent, you've seen an increase. You've seen a serious increase in Taiwanese citizens going out and doing training. A lot of it's with, airsoft guns or simunitions or whatever, but there is a population of Taiwan that has increased training as prepared citizens. If it were if it were to get that severe, you could see something like the Ukraine situation kick off, where they just start handing weapons to the public, especially those that are trained already and are veterans and stuff. It's very possible. Do they have the weaponry to give to everyone? Yeah, to an extent. I mean, if anyone knows, Taiwan makes their own rifles. One that's imported to the U.S. By Wolf. It's called the T91 Upper. It's similar to like a AR-180 Upper, so it's a dual guide rod piston system AR type platform. Actually pretty cool. The barrels aren't great though on them, so if you were to get a T91 Upper, replace a barrel. Really cool platform though. Very very cool system, and it works. So that's the Taiwanese homemade rifle platform. That the T91 uppers are imported into the United States. But yeah, that's what they would be giving out to the local population. I digress. Becoming dangerous. You think Taiwan would have a gun culture given their history? You would think, to some extent. Yeah, you would think. We'll see. Who knows? If that changes and it does happen in the future, we'll see. So maybe that'll improve. If they want to keep sovereignty and autonomy, yeah, they probably should have to adopt one. You look at countries too, like Burma, or Myanmar, Burma right now. I mean, they haven't really had any like firearm restrictions to certain extents, but again, it's still a developing country in a lot of ways. Failed government after failed government up until this junta or whatever, and that's when a lot more crackdown came on it. I mean, there was some firearm restriction beforehand, but all the Burmese resistance forces and factions out there, rebel groups and stuff, have had no problems finding firearms or making them. So, Leonard, no, the K2 is Korean. That's a Korean. The K2 is a Korean rifle. No, the Taiwanese have the T91. Look it up. You can get the full upper. It's imported by Wolf. So Taiwanese T91 AR upper. It's a piston-driven AR platform with dual or with a recoil spring assembly, kind of like a AR 18 AR 180. Meow. You have a natural, relaxed conversational style, easy to listen to. Hey, thank you. I appreciate it. It took me a while to get used to being in front of a camera. First couple of years I was doing YouTube was mostly just music stuff. I wasn't really putting myself out there. It took me a while to get used to being in front of a camera. I was much more used to being like behind one or doing my thing with a lot of OPSEC and stuff. But apart from that, being involved in the music industry and stuff too, on the side professionally, you kind of have to get used to being in front of people anyway. So I just kind of do it like that. So appreciate it though. Thank you. Becoming dangerous. There is probably a lot of guns stashed in closets from the Chinese Civil War. Oh, undoubtedly. Buried caches, places, and yeah. Probably a lot of warehouses full of stuff. You know, all the surplus ammo still coming in or whatever. You know, all the Narinkos floating around and all. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yup. Well, damn. Got about 1 minute left in my live stream here, and I'll be hitting the 2 hour mark, in which case I need to go give my one cat medication. Unfortunately, she's not doing too well, and it's getting close to end of life care. And go make some food myself. And then I got some calls I got to make for band stuff and some other things up here. So, yep, that's about it here. So, thank you everyone for tuning in. Thank you for all the great questions, all the great topics of discussion, and the great discussions in the chat here and everything, and with the community post questions. I appreciate all of them, and I appreciate all of you for tuning in. Thank you, and hopefully I gave good answers to everyone's questions and all that. If people are on Discord, if you're in Wired to Tights Discord or Homefront Scenarios Discord or whatever, I'm in those Discords. I'm a moderator in both those Discords, but I'm in those Discords as well. And yeah, apart from that, yeah, absolutely. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. Leonard, what first person camera do you use for your shooting videos? GoPro Hero 10 Black. Yeah. For like the head mount or on the weapon mount. Yeah, and it's a pick rail mount that you can put the GoPro on. Yeah, that one's cool. And then my other camera for videos is a Canon SX540 HS. Not a terribly like super expensive camera, but it's quality enough. And I use it for work too, for taking pictures and all that too. But I use it for doing videos for YouTube and everything. So those are the cameras I use. Good question. Stuart, son of a bitch. Can't get you lately, but rock on. Found a silver coin in a coin store. Oh, nice, dude. Stuart, for those that don't know, is a big silver commodities guy. So if you need some shiny things, talk to Stuart there. Scandy, love you, bro. Hope you're doing all right. Thanks for tuning in. But yeah, so that's about it here. I got to bounce. Thanks everyone for tuning in. I appreciate every single one of you, and more stuff coming soon. So I'll be on some live streams soon too, apart from being in the Discords for those other guys and all that. So I'll be on some more live streams soon too. So as always, metal up. Out.